Okay, let's continue to talk about part 4 of process organization. Okay, so the last we just talked about the organizational process that we talking about the old organization that would be like a tall organization, like many level, right, as a hierarchy. But we don't want this. We would like to change to be the new organization as a flat organization. A flat organization have usually, let's say, 3 level, okay? A practitioner, a middle manager, and the CEO. That's it. The knowledge or the information gonna flow 1/1. The second, we don't want to have a process of command or a control. We don't need that. We would like to have a conduct, and the people can have a process that facilitate a team, okay, to let the team show the performance, okay. 3, we won't focus about the plan, but we focus on the strategy that more flexibility, okay, that can change or adjust based on the situation and can solve the problem. For the organization that grow enough, but we don't want to have a new business under the same organization. We would like them or any unit that growth, okay, then spin out, okay, spin out, like startup or the new organization, a new organization that can make it a good performance, and the staff or employee in that new business that spin out feeling like as their own company, okay. So 4 of this is would like to have in the new organization, okay. Flat, conduct, strategic, focus, and spin out. So how do companies implement the knowledge management in organization? By the process, okay, by the process. So the process is mean that to manage the people, and people is specialists, and people is a COP, community of practice, chief executive officer, and manager. This should design a process, okay, to manage the knowledge worker or to manage the people. And the person should take a role and responsibility to be the conductor, okay. A chief or a manager should be like a conductor. And that thing, Chris Achilles said that the process that we teach or we manage the people is have some sentence said that teaching smart people how to learn, okay. The process that teaching people how to learn is about the process in organization. So let's talk a little bit of the International Organization for Standardization, or ISO. So we have many ISO, for example, ISO 9001, ISO 14001, that for the environment, ISO 18001. But for the ISO for the knowledge management system is ISO 30401 that we have at CAM, okay, for the program knowledge management, and innovation management. So ISO of 30401 that focus on the knowledge management system. The purpose of this ISO is to support the organization in order to develop a management system and to earn and to promote and enable the people or the team in the organization to create the value through the knowledge, okay, through the knowledge. The core or concept of the ISO 30401 is talking about knowledge management as a discipline to focus on the organization that create and use the knowledge. Okay, the ISO provide the document to set a sound. It's like show that the knowledge management principle and the knowledge requirement should have. Okay, so the ISO 301 as a guidance and the ISO 30401 as a basis for the auditing, certifying, evaluating, and recognizing. So actually, the ISO 30401, we use both from as a guidance and as a basis of auditing, certifying, evaluating, and recognizing. So it means that the knowledge management system based on ISO 30401 that is about the knowledge management system and process. The ISO 30401 has 10 components, but this subject we focus on the item number 4 is has 5 aspects. The first aspect is understanding in the organization context. The second is understanding about the needs or expectation from the stakeholder. 3, to determine scope of the knowledge management system. But in this chapter, we focus on the knowledge management system that have the component of general of the knowledge management system. We talk about the knowledge development, talk about the knowledge convergence and transformation. And the last is about the knowledge management enabler. This is about the knowledge management process. And also the ISO 30401 in the item number 4 has the knowledge management culture. Okay, so based on the introduction, we're gonna talk about the knowledge management system and the knowledge management process in organization. Okay, let's see the big picture. So the knowledge management process in organization, we start from the knowledge audit. The second is about the knowledge creation model. So we're gonna use the Seki model. 3, knowledge analysis and creation. 5, information technology system and KM activity and implement. 4, 5, assessment and improvement. So we're gonna start from the knowledge audit first, that based on the organizational process. Okay. So please keep in your mind that we have the big step, like 4 steps. Okay, we're gonna start on the knowledge audit first. That we're gonna meet the stakeholder. Okay, when we meet, we're gonna interview the stakeholder. The stakeholder can be the CEO, can be the COP, can be anyone that's responsible for the organization. So interview in order to get the gap, get the problem, get the risk, okay? And then when we audit, in order to get the strategic knowledge, in order to close the gap, solve the problem, or reduce risk, okay? The rest we're gonna talk later in after 10, okay? Shall we start with about the knowledge audit first? Okay. So for the term project of our class, that a group project, okay, is count 15 points, okay? So is first, please select or choose the organization that you prefer, your team prefer to study, okay, that you would like to study. Can be any organization, can be the startup, can be community, can be the government organization, can be the private organization, can be any organization. So start to do about the knowledge audit, okay? So you need to identify a problem or a gap, okay? And number 2, identify the strategic knowledge in order to close the gap or solve the problem. 3, create a knowledge management model that we're going to use the SEGI model. So we're going to talk in the chapter 4.2. 4, your group had to analyze and create the knowledge by using the knowledge engineering. Analyze of what? Analyze strategic knowledge that you got, okay, using the knowledge engineering. Number 5, design an IT system to support, to store the strategic knowledge. 6 is suggest on how to assess the knowledge management successful that we're going to present on 17 and 10 October. So you can see that the knowledge audit here, the knowledge creation is here. 3 is about the knowledge analysis. 4 is IT. 5 is assessment. See, this all follow the knowledge management flow or management process, okay? This is your term project. Your group is less than or equal to 5, okay? That we're going to present on 7 and 10 October. So let's start with the knowledge audit, okay? As we talk about, you need to meet the stakeholder of the organization in order to interview the stakeholder, in order to identify the gap or problem or risk, okay? And then when you got that, you need to identify the strategic knowledge in order to close the gap, in order to solve the problem, in order to reduce risk, right? Okay. Stakeholder can be the CEO, manager, or COP. It depends on how many stakeholders that you got, okay, to interview. So how well Do you know about the organization that you would like to study? The end result of the knowledge audit is strategic knowledge that can solve a problem, can close the gap, or reduce risk. Okay? The knowledge audit, in order to identify the core information or the knowledge needs or use knowledge used in organization, identify the gap or the problem. Okay, duplication, identify a flow or identify how it contribute to the business goal. 3, identify who is the owner of that process, who is a user, what is the use in the organization, what are the key attributes of the core knowledge assets. Okay, this is a thing that audit is kind of you identify the information that very important for the organization. So when you audit, you're going to do the gap analysis. The gap analysis is the difference between the existing thing and desired knowledge management state, like this. So in order to identify the problem in the organization or to audit, use the gap analysis to audit. Okay, how to do the knowledge audit? Normally, we're gonna use the interview the stakeholder. Okay, or we use a survey. Actually, we use an interview, ask a question, okay, directly to the stakeholder. So this here is an example of the knowledge audit questionnaire. For example, what is the knowledge that you need to do your job? Which category of the knowledge that currently available for you, or existing thing that you have? How do you use this knowledge? Okay, how many sources that you obtain the knowledge in your organization? Who else might need this knowledge like you? How often would you, and the other side question from the question file, use this knowledge? Okay, what kind of the knowledge that you do you reuse? 8, what type of the question do you have? You cannot find the answer, and which knowledge that relate to your job or level your performance. So here is to do the gap analysis. Okay, to do the gap analysis. So you start with now. In order to audit or by using the interview, in order to find the existing information, okay, and then you ask them about what they want to be in the future, right? So if right now and the future not the same level, it means that it is a gap, right? It is a gap. So in order to close the gap, you need to identify the strategic knowledge in order to close the gap, solve a problem, okay, or reduce risk, okay. For example, like here is about the tourism organization would like to do the tourism service. As is, they may have just a traditional tourism service, okay, But in the future, they would like to be a smart tourism. They would like to be the smart tourism. Okay, so they have a gap. This is the strategic knowledge that can close the gap. Is, for example, it's like IT platform, customer data analytics, or smart devices. Okay, that can close the gap, can solve the problem for the tourism organization. So the group assignment number 6 is please identify the strategic knowledge, okay, from your organization. Define 3 strategic knowledge and give your reasons and tell me who is a COP. So it can be you have only one gap, okay, and identify 3 strategic knowledge, or you may have 3 gap and have one strategic knowledge. Okay, so the deadline is not set yet. I'm gonna ask you to upload the Mango canvas. So this is all about the knowledge audit step at number 1. Okay,